Sometimes the superheroes vastly underestimate the villains, and that never goes well for them. Today on Top 10 Nerd, we're giving you 10 more times that superheroes fought the wrong villains. I'm Adam Andrews, and let's jump on into it. Coming in at number 10 today is Aquaman versus the Joker. Did you know that even underwater, Aquaman was defeated by the Joker? No, not one-on-one, mind you. Aquaman would crush the Joker in a fistfight, but this is the Joker. Fistfights aren't really his thing anyways. In Legends of the DC Universe number 26 and 27, Joker heads to Atlantis to get away from Batman. Now, even though Aquaman knows exactly what the Joker is up to, the Joker is still able to somehow convince enough of the people of Atlantis that he is the king of the surface world and that he can help them with finding a cure for their infected fish. He even manages to get a scientist to fall in love with him. It is absolutely ridiculous. But it happened. Aquaman's own people turned on him because of the Joker. It's crazy. Number 9. Raven versus the Joker. Yes, it's another Joker one, I'm sorry, not really. In the Titans East special, the Joker teams up with Bizarro to help him kidnap some random famous singer. When the Teen Titans show up to save her, the Joker sends Bizarro after Starfire, Cyborg, and Wonder Girl while he stays and holds the hostage, leaving only Kid Flash, Robin, Beast Boy, and Raven to face the Joker alone. This is 4 heroes on one relatively weak guy, the Joker, and it should be an easy win. But still, while Kid Flash is able to snatch the Joker's weapon away, turns out that was actually a bomb, which Wally tries to run to a safe location, but it goes off, incapacitating Kid Flash. Then it's Raven's turn. Now, being as awesome as she is, she makes the Joker's worst nightmares appear before him in his mind. But she probably should have known better, because this is actually completely useless against the Joker, because it turns out that the Joker's nightmares are something that he finds absolutely hilarious. Once the Titans are able to use blue kryptonite to cripple Bizarro, the entire team is able to focus on the Joker, and he does go down, but for a moment, the Joker showed that he could probably take on half of the Teen Titans. Number 8. Daredevil versus Neymar. In Daredevil number 7, which is one of the most hilarious comics I have ever read, when Daredevil came face to face with the King of Atlantis, the incredibly powerful Neymar the Submariner, he was way out of his league. Neymar had been guilted into trying to reclaim an area for Atlantis on the surface world, and so he went waltzing into the offices of Matt Murdock trying to go the legal route to achieve his wishes before he got frustrated and just tried to force it to happen physically. Now, this took place during a Daredevil comic, so Matt was able to hold his own for a little while, but he wasn't punching Neymar or anything. He was just dodging Neymar's massive blows and leading the fight into a construction site where he tried using a bulldozer to knock Neymar down. All this did was make Neymar more mad. Matt tries dropping rubble onto the Atlantean, who just shrugs it off and then topples the mighty machine that Daredevil was standing on. From this point, Matt actually just tries to run away, leaping onto a lamppost, and Neymar just rips it out of the ground, sending Matt crashing down. In his final desperate attempt, Matt wraps Neymar up in the wiring from the lamppost and tries to shock Neymar into defeat, but even with Matt's insulated gloves, they both get shocked and Neymar recovers way faster than Matt did, who was left crawling trying to just reach out at Neymar's ankles. Now, Neymar does applaud Daredevil's courage, but still, he got wrecked. Number 7. The Wasp versus Skrulls. There is a somewhat unspoken rule for major comic book events in Marvel Comics, and that rule is that at least one major superhero has to go to the pearly gates by the end. Captain America was the one in Civil War, and Thor was the one in Conclusion of Fear itself. Oh, and the Hulk did it in the Second Civil War. During the Secret Invasion run, when the Avengers faced off against the Skrulls, it was founding Avenger Janet Van Dyne, aka the Wasp, who snuffed it. 1 month before this event, Janet's ex-husband, Hank Pym, gifted her a new Pym particle growth serum that should be used in battle if things went south. As the heroes of Earth made their last stand against the Skrulls, Wasp used the particles, growing to an absolutely gargantuan size. But what she didn't realize was that the person who had been posing as Hank Pym was actually a Skrull named Kriti, I think is how you pronounce it. Not only that, but the growth serum that he had given her was actually a bomb that was meant to be activated in case the Skrull invasion failed. As she exploded, Thor used his enchanted hammer to control the blast, and even though he stopped the explosion from wiping out everyone else, he couldn't save Janet, and that's why humans are woefully unprepared for alien invasions. Number 6. Spider-Man Spider-Man vs. the Firebrand. In Amazing Spider-Man number 700.3, yes, that is how we used to number comics, it gave us one of the most horrifying Spider-Man scenes to date. The issue gets off to a start as the wall crawler takes on Firebrand, but Spidey is completely off of his game, apparently from eating too much pie at Aunt May's. That's the actual excuse he gave. Now that starts as a joke, but clearly he really was off of his game. After one too many quips pushes him over the line, Firebrand unleashes his full power, literally trying to end the life of our beloved webhead. Fair warning, the art here is not for the faint of heart. There is a close-up of Peter's face as Firebrand turns up the heat, firstly showing his Spidey costume burning away, followed by his actual skin cracking and burning. A huge explosion is then caused as the villain reaches his very limits, destroying everything around him. And somehow, Parker actually survives all of this and manages to crawl out of the rubble with his skin literally melting off of his body. There is no doubt that this would have been the end for Spider-Man if not for the swift arrival of paramedics who managed to find his body and take him away. Number 5. Red Arrow vs. Prometheus. Taking place in 2010's Cry for Justice issue number 5, during a meeting of the Justice League, Red Arrow leaves briefly to tend to his daughter and subsequently returns later with a gory stump where his arm used to be. It's actually not till a later book that we find out what actually happened in the subsequent Justice League Rise and Fall. The issue opens up with Harper finishing up a video call with his daughter, and as the call ends, Shazam walks into the room and sucker punches Roy in the back of the head. He then reveals himself as the villain Prometheus and the mastermind behind the destruction of Star City. Now while fighting Prometheus, Red Arrow is caught off guard when the villain goes down and Prometheus launches a surprise attack, sending multiple discs that wound Roy. Now in his brief moment, a final blow from the villain takes Harper's arm clean off of the rest of his body, which eventually throws Harper into a coma. The rest of the Justice League managed to stop Prometheus eventually, but for Red Arrow, the pain wasn't over because in Prometheus' attack, he ended up ending the life of Red Arrow's daughter at the same time. In at number 4 today is Everyone vs. Brother Eye. Beginning 35 years into the future, DC Comics' Future's End depicts a world in which Brother Eye transformed almost all the superheroes into cyborg bugs. It's actually pretty horrifying, like body horror, it's scary. With only a small resistance left, Bruce Wayne created a time machine to prevent Brother Eye's rule from ever occurring. Now although Bruce was unable to travel back in time himself, the new Batman, Terry McGinnis, took his place. Unfortunately, Terry only traveled 30 years into the past, arriving 5 years too late. So in this not too distant future, Brother Eye's ascension was already underway, with Mr. Terrific working on the technology that would enhance Brother Eye's power. Terry teamed up with Tim Drake, who came out of retirement, to stop Brother Eye's technological apocalypse from happening. Unfortunately, Terry accidentally sped up the process and ultimately sacrificed himself in the battle with Brother Eye. Tim then took Terry's batsuit, traveling back in time 5 years, preventing the arrival of the heroes from Earth 2, and then when Tim went back 35 years into the future, stick with me here, he was shocked to learn that nothing had changed at all. Humanity was still controlled by Brother Eye's technology. Determined to fight Brother Eye, Tim became the next Batman, and this storyline continued in a new Batman Beyond series where Tim led a resistance against Brother Eye. Number 3. Spider-Man vs. Dr. Doom. Dr. Doom and Spider-Man do not fight in the same weight class at all. However, in their first ever encounter, Spider-Man did actually manage to get the better of Dr. Doom, and that may have stung Dr. Doom pretty bad. So, in Amazing Spider-Man Volume 1, number 349 to 350, when he came back, it did not go well for Spider-Man. This time, Spidey was tracking an elderly jewel thief named the Black Fox, who had stolen the priceless Trask Diamond. Black Fox also happened to barter one of Victor Von Doom's family heirlooms, an emerald passed down to him by his late mother, who means a lot to him. So, once Doom became aware of this transgression, he flew to New York and caught up with the Black Fox at the same time that Spider-Man did. When Spidey intervened on the Black Fox's behalf to stop Dr. Doom from actually taking his life, Dr. Doom did not hold back against Spider-Man. Doom nonchalantly thrashed the web-slinger, leaving him with his costume in tatters and desperately scrambling away for his life. While he convinced Doom to allow him to retrieve his family heirloom, Peter severely severe beating had left him concussed, so much so that he even hallucinated Uncle Ben. The beating he took taught Spidey an important lesson about recognizing his limits, which is Dr. Doom. Dr. Doom is his limit. Number 2. Ghost Rider vs. Symbiotes. At one point, both Venom and Ghost Rider were part of the Thunderbolts team, and being a team of pretty morally gray characters and villains, it was literally only a matter of time until things got ugly. In Thunderbolts number 23, Ghost Rider and Venom came into conflict. Venom exposed his host at the time, stopping the Ghost Rider from using his Hellfire to accidentally take the life of the human host. So, instead, Ghost Rider used his penance stare on the symbiote. This is when we learned that Venom is actually resistant to the penance stare, as Ghost Rider was overwhelmed by how much sin that the Venom symbiote had actually done over the years. Now, I don't really understand this, as those are literally the things that the penance stare is supposed to manipulate and use against its victim, but there is proof that this may just be a symbiote power. There was an instance during a crossover between Ghost Rider, Blaze, Spirits of Vengeance, and Web of SpiderMan that revealed that there was a problem between Ghost Rider's penance stare and the symbiotes, period, since they are not from this planet. Again, I don't know how that works, but that's just how it works. It's a comic book. I don't know, have fun with it. And finally, in at number 1 today is Iron Man v Venom. Coming to us in the 302nd issue of Iron Man, after Stark Industries was falsely implicated in a scandal, society was under the impression that its CEO, Tony Stark, was exploiting the poor for his own ends. Now, this was at a time that Venom was beginning to see himself as a guardian of the innocent, a lethal protector, if you will. So, in retaliation, he tracked Tony Stark down and bit his head clean off. Just kidding. Thankfully, this Tony Stark was actually a life model decoy that Tony was controlling remotely. Now, Venom knew pretty quick where he would find the real Tony and made his way to Tony's penthouse. Running for his life, Tony headed to the armory, keeping just out of reach of Venom, knowing he couldn't possibly survive a direct encounter with the alien without his Iron Man suit. As Tony darted through his home, Venom turned the building into Swiss cheese, pulling off walls and tearing open elevators, trying to rip Tony apart. Now, Tony managed to get to the armory and don his costume, and instead of blasting Venom to a pulp, Iron Man reasoned with him, telling Venom that Stark was innocent and that he will prove it in time. Venom agreed to back off, but he threatened to come back. And that's all I really got. Thank you guys so much for watching today on Top 10 Nerd. I'm your host, Adam Andrews. I will catch you all on the flippity flop, but until then, be safe and peace out, you nerds.